News, and let's move on now to our question of the day, Leah.
All right, so here we go. On the eve of Madiba's centenary celebration, do you believe his legacy is still relevant today? Why or why not? And in fact, Sakine and I were even talking about a better question or something to add to that. We want the relevance for today, but we also want to ask you, do you think we're doing a good job in keeping that legacy alive? The legacy that he stood for, and what are we using it? Such an incredible man that was ours. Are we using it to its right message? That, I suppose, is the way to put it. So, yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Interesting conversation. I think over the next 2-3 days, that really is what everyone's going to be speaking about. Tomorrow is the centenary of Madiba. He would have turned 100 years old, and the world focusing in on that. It is an international day, International Nelson Mandela Day, a day that's been dedicated and put aside for the world to do good. So let's see how that all turns out.
Absolutely, and do go to town with it. Tell us, how do you perhaps also think we could best celebrate Madiba's legacy? Are we on the right track? As Leanne said, we were having a conversation offline about this, and I was saying I feel it's slightly elitist, and you know, with that, does it not then scupper the longevity of it going forward?
Yeah, in terms of the lecture.
In terms of the lecture, why can't you take the lecture to an FNB stadium, to an Ellis Park stadium, to another town other than Johannesburg? Why is it Joburg based? Why? Because to me it just does seem elitist. It always has. And is that what Mandela would have wanted for his legacy?
It's a great way of thinking. It is. It really is. But on a side note, remember that if you're not there, the SABC is covering this, radio, television, you name it, it is everywhere. So we are making it accessible for you. But write to us, we'd love to. Let's see the other stories of the day today. As you can see, lots to talk about today. So first up, we look at various Mantella. You know, marrying two words, it's the couple. It's the Mandela celebrations, the Mandela centenary celebrations, we should say. It's happening all across the world, so that's what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, and we'll have quite a few interviews focusing on that as well this morning. And then former US President Barack Obama, he'll be delivering the 16th Nelson Mandela annual lecture in Johannesburg, and he's also expected to meet with President Cyril Ramaphosa, naturally.
Kenyan intellectual Professor Patrice Lumumba is also expected to deliver a lecture in Mandela's honor. This will be happening at the Walter Sisulu University in Mthatha.
And no doubt there will be comparisons and contrasts in those two lectures. And then we're following up on the situation at the Phalaborwa Mining Company following the death of 6 mine workers.
Economic Development Minister Abraham Patel to give a briefing on the Competition Amendment Bill that was recently introduced to Parliament. Yeah,
and we will be asking him more about that because sketchy still some of the details around that, but we'll be speaking to him just after 7:30.
And the Human Sciences Research Council launches its 5th National HIV Prevalence, Incidence and Behaviour Study Findings. That should be very, very interesting.
The Bureau for Economic Research issues the latest Consumer Confidence Index.
And also following up on those wage negotiations at Power Utility Eskom.
The ANC PTT, they will be holding a media briefing about the decision on the Provincial Elective Conference this coming weekend, and that briefing starting at 12.
And finally, the Public Investment Corporation has called a briefing to make some major announcements. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Very interesting.
Let's wait on that one. Let's take a look at Twitter now, see what's been trending overnight. And, you know, we could have predicted that it was sports the last few weeks, but now, look at that. It suddenly disappeared off the radar. No more sports.
Sad.
Fuel price hike. Let's get back to reality now. It's coming.
Yeah.
Another one in August.
It hasn't been officially confirmed, and I think perhaps the powers that be are also just a little scared and treading carefully here to tell us this.
I know. I know.
latest bit
That's
of
the
bad
problem.
news.
Usually the AA, when they come out with their predictions, they generally are quite they're quite right on the head, and that's what they have predicted. Another fuel price hike coming our way in August, and that is not good news
great
at all. Mandela Day, we know that is tomorrow, but of course I think today is a very big day as former US President Barack Obama delivers the Nelson Mandela Day lecture. That's happening at the Wanderers, so that's a big one, and that is going to be on the top position for, I can imagine, the next couple of days.
Obama on his stopover in Kenya yesterday, and Yvonne Chaka Chaka I saw was singing.
Oh wow, was she?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
She was, yeah.
Excellent.
So she was there in Kenya.
That is so nice. Will Smith is still there. Okay, I clearly missed a massive performance. I don't know. Apparently,
both of us.
Okay, so we don't know. We never saw it, but that was the closing ceremony of the FIFA World Cup, unless he's done something else overnight we don't know about. Given Mkari. Now, this was an interesting story from yesterday.
It was very interesting, and it's also very sad,
yes,
I think,
very.
when things like these happen. The Mkaris allegedly had a physical altercation, Given and his wife, and they both laid charges against one another, which was subsequently withdrawn by both of them. But the NPA then deciding that they actually will proceed.
It's a story, and unfortunately a very common story.
I do feel for them, though, especially when you have high-profile people and all of this is playing out in the public eye.
Not nice at all. All right, Patricia de Lille, that is a big trending topic as well. The DA has confirmed it will appeal the Western Cape High Court decision, which reinstated Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille as a party member. So that's an ongoing saga. And finally, the SABC is trending. It always is, but I think it was looking into the inquiry that is taking place.
And especially the EFF submission there about what happened prior to the 2014 elections. I think, that certainly was a time when we were in great turmoil as an organization.
Indeed. All right, there you go. That's trending topics here at Morning Live SABC and hashtag Morning Live. Let's get